There was a time when ERF was the name every British truck driver respected. Those three letters stood for strength, craftsmanship, and family pride. They weren't born from a boardroom or a government merger, they came from one man's determination to do things better. Edwin Richard Foden built ERF out of frustration, ambition, and grit. But like so many British legends, what began as a success story ended as a slow, painful fall, one that turned a family dream into a forgotten badge on the scrap heap. The story starts in the 1930s in Sandbach, Cheshire, the same heartland that produced Foden trucks. Edwin Foden had helped build the original Foden company, turning it into one of Britain's great industrial names. But when he wanted to move away from steam power and focus on diesel engines, the board refused. They thought steam was the future. Edwin knew it wasn't, so he walked away and took his son with him. Together they started a new firm, one that would embrace the modern diesel age. The company was named ERF after Edwin Richard Foden himself, a quiet but defiant act of rebellion. The first ERF truck rolled out in 1933. It was simple, sturdy, and light for its time. The Fodens were known for over-engineering. ERF went the other way, strong enough to work hard but smart enough to save weight and fuel. The hauliers loved it. By the late 1930s, ERF had built a reputation for being efficient, reliable, and tough as nails. When World War II arrived, their trucks served the country with the same loyalty as the men who drove them. In the decades that followed, ERF became a quiet powerhouse. It didn't shout like some of its rivals. It didn't flood the market with flashy adverts or fancy new models. It built honest trucks for honest work. The post-war years were golden. The company stayed family-owned, the factories stayed in Sandbach, and every driver who bought one felt like part of something bigger. ERF didn't chase volume, it chased perfection. By the 1960s and 70s, ERF had become the truck of choice for British hauliers who valued quality over hype. Models like the LV, A Series, and later the B Series were everywhere, on farms, in quarries, hauling timber, fuel, and freight. Each one was built by hand with care. The trucks were boxy, no nonsense, and beautifully engineered. Drivers praised them for being easy to maintain and built to last. It wasn't uncommon for an ERF to clock over 1 million miles with just routine maintenance. But the good times wouldn't last forever. The world was changing fast. By the late 1970s, European competition was flooding into the UK. Scania, Volvo, and Mercedes were building trucks that were smoother, faster, and more comfortable. ERF's designs, though solid, were starting to look dated. The company still relied on British-sourced components, Gardner engines, Eaton gearboxes, Kirkstall axles, all excellent parts, but from suppliers who were also struggling to survive. When Gardner's production slowed, ERF suffered with it. Still, the family refused to give up. They modernized the range, introducing the C Series in the early 1980s and later the E Series, which became one of their most successful models. These were lighter, better built, and carried that same old-school reliability. But ERF was fighting giants now. Volvo and Scania had deeper pockets, better marketing, and global reach. The British government, meanwhile, offered little help. While other countries protected their manufacturers, the UK left them to sink or swim. By the 1990s, the cracks were showing. ERF was still loved by drivers but was losing money. The family had held on as long as they could, but globalization was rewriting the rules. In 1996, ERF was sold to Western Star, a Canadian truck company that promised to keep the brand alive. At first, there was hope. Western Star poured money into modernizing the factory and pushing the brand overseas. But behind the smiles and press photos, the new owners were quietly draining the company's strength. The Foden family name was gone from the business, and with it went the heart of the operation. Decisions were made not in Sandbach. The deal was hailed as a new beginning, but for many, it felt like the final nail. The Germans had no emotional attachment to ERF. To them, it was just another acquisition, another logo to manage. The trucks coming out of Sandbach now were MANs with ERF badges, rebadged imports, not British-built machines. Drivers noticed. The sound, the feel, even the smell of the trucks had changed. The soul had gone. Orders fell fast, and by 2002, MAN decided to shut down the Sandbach factory for good. The doors closed quietly, without ceremony. Workers packed their tools and walked out of a building their fathers and grandfathers had built. The ERF name lingered a little longer, stamped onto MAN cabs for a few more years, But it was over. What began as one family's defiance had ended in silence. The factory was flattened, the badge disappeared, and with it went one of the last great British truck makers. For old drivers, seeing an ERF on the road today is like spotting a ghost. A reminder of a time when trucks were built by craftsmen, not corporations. When pride mattered more than profit, when one man's initials, ERF, stood for something real. When the gates at Sandbach finally closed, it wasn't just a factory that died, it was a way of life. For decades, generations of families had clocked in there, building machines they believed in. The closure hit the town like a funeral. Men who'd spent 40 years on the line walked out with nothing but a toolbox and a memory. The sound of hammers, air guns, and diesel engines vanished overnight. And for the first time since the 1930s, there was no truck wearing the ERF badge leaving the yard. The final years were messy. Man promised to keep the name alive, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. The Germans wanted the market share, not the heritage. They'd bought ERF for its customer base, not for what it stood for. Soon after the takeover, the Sandbach plant was stripped of its equipment and production shifted overseas. The few trucks that still wore ERF badges were built abroad using MAN components. They looked the part. The sense of craftsmanship, the pride of building something British, was gone. When the final lorry rolled out of the plant in 2002, some of the men stood in silence and watched it disappear down the road. A few clapped, most didn't. It was like saying goodbye to a mate you'd known your whole life. Sandbach itself changed overnight. The pubs that once filled with drivers and fitters went quiet. The closure didn't just end ERF, it tore a hole in the town's heart. That yard had kept thousands of people fed, trained, and proud, and now it was gone. What used to be the beating heart of British trucking turned into an industrial graveyard. The ERF badge lived on for a few short years after that. Drivers still bought them at auctions, and hauliers who'd grown up behind those steering wheels refused to let them go. They became collector's items, not because they were fancy, but because they were honest. Old ERFs started appearing at classic truck shows, polished up and gleaming in the sun. Former drivers swapped stories about the noise of the Gardner engines, the feel of the old gear levers, and the smell of the cabs after a long haul. For them, these trucks weren't just machines, they were memories of an age when work was hard, pride was real, and the road belonged to men who built and drove their own legends. Over time, ERF became something more than a defunct manufacturer. It became a symbol of how British engineering used to be: solid, straightforward, built on skill, not spreadsheets. The company had survived wars, recessions, and endless foreign takeovers. What finally killed it wasn't competition, it was indifference. When the world stopped caring about where things came from, companies like ERF never stood a chance. Even today, if you drive through the north and see an old ERF still hauling timber or towing machinery, you can feel it. That sense of craftsmanship, that stubborn pride that refuses to disappear. It's a reminder of a time when trucks weren't just tools, but testaments to the people who made them. The rise had been pure, the fall inevitable, but the aftermath, the legacy, still rumbles through the roads of Britain. Every time an old ERF passes by, heads still turn, and for a moment, you remember what it used to mean when those 3 letters stood for something real. Edwin Richard Foden, the man who left a company behind, built another from scratch and gave Britain one of its greatest motoring icons.